morning, everybody, and welcome to Today at the Races for this Sunday at Laurel Park. We're going to wrap up the weekend for you with an 8-race card, so a little change in some of our multiple race wagers, so pay attention to that. We'll keep you up to date with any of those changes, but alongside Dan Oman, Director of Communications, I'm Keith Fustel, but we're looking forward to this. We had a little bit better value yesterday, not tremendous, but we saw with that off track, it was a muddy sealed surface yesterday. Speed was kind of king.
Yeah, despite the fact that the times were playing slow and the track might have been deep, I think Speed has done well, certainly did well yesterday. I thought it did well on Friday as well. Some nice accomplishments yesterday. J-Rod with 4 winners. Brittany and Sheldon team up for 3 maiden winners. They all won by 1,000,000 lengths. Pretty impressive stuff.
Lots of large margins of victory on yesterday's racing card. I believe one of them was 14 and change. I think I was off when I was guesstimating by about a half a length down to the second wire. But interesting, you talked about the Brittany horses, the first, or the one that was in for the tag.
Yeah.
Ran not bad or by, ran the 73, but Complexity Jane overcame a lot of adversity out of the break, was roughed up pretty good. Sheldon did a great job settling and finding that inside seam.
Yeah, Sheldon knew exactly what he had on Complexity Jane, so when the horse didn't break very well, it was simply a situation of getting her into her rhythm, and then she was very professional. She goes inside past a horse, moves to the outside, rockets past another horse, and then it was really simply a situation. Do I go out? Do I go in? He had the confidence in this inexperienced filly to go inside. She changed leads on cue. She finished up strong.
Yeah, really, really good effort. Supreme Law right to the front again, another open length win. So let's take a look real quick at the weather outside and the track conditions if we can. That's great. Thank you, guys. Cloudy skies, a little chillier this morning, right? We're right around 30, 31 degrees. A little slight breeze out of the east at 4 miles an hour, though. The track, we're back to a fast surface today at Laurel Park.
Looking forward to seeing how the track plays. Hoping it's a little bit fairer than it was the last couple of days with Speed, although I generally like to try to find speed horses. And again, John Piasek, our good friend who works for the RacingBiz.com, he pretty much correctly smoked out the bias after the first 4 races. He said key on Speed the rest of the way, and other than Complexity Jane, who you pretty much had to have in the Big 5, you had it.
Yeah, no, that's great. And John does a great job along with Frank Vespi.
Absolutely.
They bring a lot of great information there at the Racing Biz. Pay attention because they do their homework. They do an awesome job day in and day out. They sniff out some good stories, some features. Appreciate having them on board here at Laurel Park and the Mid-Atlantic region. So let's get to race 1. We're going to kick this race off with a shorter field. Only 5 horses. We scratched the 6, Milo, and we scratched the 7, Rapidity, a horse I was going to use into the mix, but leaves us with 5. We're going to go 3/4 of a mile, 40,000, non-winners at 2 in life. It kicks off the early value pick 5 at that 12% takeout, 50-cent minimum wager. Good handle again yesterday on this wager. We keep it rolling. I've got a ticket pretty cheap when you really break it down. An $18 ticket, and race 2, I could have gone all or I go 1, and looks to me like this one horse is going to be all or nothing, changing surfaces. So I'm going to start you out, though, in race 1 with the 2, 3, and 4. A little value with the 3, Joe the Jet. Singling Empire's Treat for trainer Elliott Sullivan, trying to get on the board here in Maryland with J-Rod. Race 3, 2 and the 5. Johnny French Fry, my Mamba, maybe to pick it up if things go fast and furious up front. Race 4, the 2, the 3, the 5. Wampy's a horse we're going to get to. That 4-year-old filly from Michael Gorman. Let's wrap it up. 2 deep in the 5th. Capcom and Hagrid's Flame. Kind of a value sale purchase for the connections. Got a good win in New York.
I like in race 2, you said you were going 1 or all, and you went with 1. This is a gambling game. You're sticking with your opinion. I like it. $18, good value, pick 5.
Let's get you started. Dan, race number 1. You're looking at Without Pretense for Diane Marici, a barn we've talked about frequently now on this show. They've really made their presence felt at Laurel Park, Pimlico. Without Pretense, dropping out of that allowance race, looking for a little flow, could definitely bring a big run from the quarter pole home.
This is just a huge double drop in class. He was in against Worcester last time. Now, Worcester would be barred from the wagering in race number 1. Worcester came out of that last race to take an allowance with an 89 buyer. They released the nominations for the General George earlier today. Lo and behold, Worcester is one of the nominations.
All right, cool.
Without Pretense, just had no chance in that race. You go back 3 when this horse was in for a condition-claiming race, just got beaten nose. He's hit hit the board in his last 3 starts, going 6 furlongs. We have a trainer stat for Diane Marisi. This barn has been going very, very well with Without Pretense. Allowance to claiming, 5 for the last 24, $2.34 ROI. This horse does not have a lot of speed, however, and it's worth noting. With the scratches, we've got a short field. I expect the pace to be slow. It's up to the X-Man to keep Without Pretense at least in range.
And that speed, I think, is going to be provided from horses maybe to the outside.
Yes.
The 4 Better Go 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 and the 5 Guardian Prince. You do have the 4 in the mix a little bit lower in your selections. I got this one a little bit higher with JG Torrealba. Let's take a little video spotlight of Better Go Go Go, and this is a couple races back here in Maryland.
Yeah, this was a pretty good performance for Better Go Go Go, prompting this pace on the outside. He's going to make a very strong run to look like he's going to just put this field away. He makes the lead turning into the stretch, and he just couldn't seal the deal against a very sharp horse, Massacato, who would come back to win his next start. This was a promising effort for Better Go Go Go, and then they tried a tougher spot last time out at Aqueduct. He was actually favored in that race, and just watching the races in New York that week, it seemed like the inside was the place to be. This horse was in the pocket, but then got to the outside, and I think on the deeper footing spun his wheels. Better Go 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 is better than the last race at Aqueduct. He runs that 74 buyer. It's going to be real tough.
I think Guardian Prince is going to mix it up. I'd take a little shot here with the 3, Joe the Jet. Kind of a stranger. Hugh McMahon off of, just an even performance going way back in March. But a barn that can get him the win off of a lengthy layoff. The barn is going well right now, route the sprint angle. And I think that race on March 29th, when you look at the field and some of those horses now coming back to a straight 2 in life, some of those performers, including El Delary, who he was in front of with an 80 yesterday, gives me a little bit of a hope for Joe the Jet.
A couple of next out winners came out of that race. The runner-up came back to win for 40 with a 76 buyer speed figure. Hugh McMahon does a very good job off of long layoffs, and he's been on a roll lately. Joe the Jet is a very interesting horse because I think you could argue he is the most upside of anyone in this race. We've seen the best probably from Better Go 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 and Guardian Prince and Without Pretense and Great Heavens, horses that have run 20 times. We may not have seen Joe the Jet's best.
Yeah, you're going to, exactly. I'm looking for a horse who's just to kind of jump up, well prepped here from McMahon. Great Heavens is a horse you're going to throw in here. Another one making that move from allowance down to attack, this time for trainer Tim Keefe.
Looks like he's racing himself back into shape. 3rd start off a fairly significant layoff and was behind the 3 favorites last time out. The winner coming out of that race to win an allowance at Charlestown with an 80. I believe Full Irish has also been nominated to the General George. So Great Heavens just really fits in this spot. Similar situation Without Pretense. Forrest has got to get him into the race.
Okay, there you go. 2-1-5-4 for Dan in the open. I go 3-4-2-1. A little shot there with Joe the Jet. Let's look at race 2. Race 2, we've got a field of 7. No scratches in here at 1 mile and a 16th. Maidens, fillies, 4, 5, and 6-year-olds with the claiming price of 12.5 down to 10. The Maryland breds can go in for 15. Starts the early pick 4. Only a couple pick 4s on this 8-race card this afternoon. Please jump in. Dan, taking a look at this, we're close. I think the one is an all or nothing. You've got this horse second. La Chica for Tequila. Chased her a few times. Doesn't have a slew of speed. Will she get enough to set things up for her run today?
I actually think that this horse can be a little bit closer to the pace. We saw 3 starts back on a muddy track that La Chica for Tequila was 4 lengths out of it at the pace call, and a sprint race 4 back 2 3/4 lengths out of it at the pace call. Gene Brasino's just got to get a little bit aggressive out of there from this good inside post. Not exactly saying this horse is going to make the lead, but try to stay close. Last time out just fell far, far behind a pretty solid pace over that muddy track and was running on at the end. The winner of that race came back to place in a non-winners at 2 with a 49 buyer. It might be a now or never situation for La Chica for Tequila, but your top pick, the 1 Empire Street, just has the fig advantage. If she runs back to the numbers she's earned on turf and synth on dirt, she wins.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping. And I went and looked at the breeding. Top side Classic Empire, 21% with the dirt router. Second dam, 4-time winner on the dirt, topped of an 82. There's some dirt there. I do think J-Rod will get aggressive. You look at this race was fairly close up to a half mile at the 7/8 on the synthetic at Woodbine. Take the shot in here. I think an interesting price shot is the 7. She got the money.
What an interesting purchase. $2,400 for a Munnings mare they
Yeah.
got in December. So at least some value you would think down the road as a broodmare prospect. Coming off a little bit of a layoff, but she was in against a good maiden field last time out. The horse that finished first came back to graduate. To win again, by the way, in a 67 buyer in a 12,500 winners of 2 Life. Interesting that Zabrana had his choice between She Got the Money and Tia Mayen and chose the bigger price Tia Mayen.
Yeah, that surprised me a little bit. This is another one. Got that chasing kind of style, I would think, is the 6 TMA. See if she can bring up the finish.
And we have a trainer stat
Yeah,
as well for
that's
She
right.
Got the Money.
Yeah.
This is Carlos Mancia, first off the trainer switch for this owner. 4 for the last 14, 29%, $2.37 ROI. So She Got the Money, ran into a good field last time out. Now with a new barn, we'll see. She's going to be a price, and I do think she's got a little speed.
On the go back, those mid-40 buyers, they certainly work against this group. See if Mancia can bring her back to some of that form. Yeah, Sheffries-Mancia combination. They've done some damage over the last few years here in Maryland. Dan, 2173 on 1273. Very close there in race number 2 that wraps up the early daily double. And again, we do have the rolling doubles. Please take part in those. Now we go to the third. Third race, a couple scratches. This starts the Chesapeake Pick 6, but we're going to look at this field real quick. Scratch the 1, P Money, a key scratch out of race number 3. Also scratch the 6, Bargaining Power was going to be some of that speed. This is a claimer, 75. Again, Chesapeake Pick 6 starts now in race 3 with this 8-race card today at Laurel Park. 20-cent minimum jackpot wager. Dan, we both agree, and we'll go right to the video if you want, guys, for the 2. Johnny French Fry right back here for Kieran McGee.
Here's Johnny French Fry. Is basically a speed horse breaking from post position 3, and we see that Johnny French Fry is fast out of the gate, immediately assumes command. And when a horse like Johnny French Fry gets comfortable up front, Johnny French Fry feels good. He's moving very well at this point. The pace, though, nice and relaxed for him. 46-4 for the half. He got a really kind breather down the backstretch under Jamie Rodriguez. Now, I'm interested in your thoughts on the final 3/16 of a mile. Johnny French Fry finishes well. I don't seem to recall him flashing his tail like he did in this race.
Interesting,
It's
yeah.
just, you're going to
Good
see
pickup.
right here. Jamie pops him here. There's the tail. Now Jamie's going to, I think, pop him one more time. Boom, there's the tail again. It's usually a sign that maybe the horse is just not feeling it or not feeling good, but he certainly looked good on the track that day. That's my one little knock against Johnny French Fry. I do think he's the controlling speed, and when you look at Kieran's numbers with last out winners, 42%, $3.03 ROI, it kind of allays a lot of fears.
That's true. That's true. He outran, too. There was some faster, what I thought might have been a little bit faster horses than him through that first eighth of a mile, quarter of a mile in that race, and he did it. He was able to slow it down to that 23 opening quarter, and it was ball game.
Oh, yeah.
Lights out, 1, 2, 3. It was over for Johnny French Fry. Now, that being said, draws inside.
He's got to go.
He's got to kind of go, and he's got a horse. Big Hambone can be a nuisance for probably a half mile, maybe a little further, and you've got a horse to the outside, just to the outside of Johnny French Fry in the 3. Sunset Town, the blinkers have gone on. 2 really gritty efforts for Mike Gorham the last couple. There could be some mixing up going on the front end here in race number 3 at the 5.5 furlong distance.
In many ways, Sunset Town is the key to this race because the blinkers have just brought out this newfound speed. And if he goes after Johnny French Fry along with Big Hambone, all of a sudden it could set things up for the closers. I do still think that Johnny French Fry is the speed of the speed. Sunset Town did get a nice win last time out. Flopped leads a couple of times in the stretch, but was very, very game to deny a couple of closers. He had to work hard the second part of that race against Pudge Boy Palace, who was a big long shot and pushed him outside.
And jumping into the open condition here, open company, I should say, it's Sunset Down. I think the 5 Mamba is moving in the right direction. Out of some of these tougher races, B West, Irish Warlock, Celtic Contender, just a few further down on the page. My Mamba, I think, can ramp it up with Lugo and trainer Mario Serret to make a. I think this horse is going to make a kick here from the quarter home.
If this pace is hot, this horse is the best closer in the field, in my opinion. You mentioned the horses that my Mamba was in against last time out. B West, the runner-up, came back, ran second with a 65 buyer. So it's all about whether my Mamba gets some pace. He might get it, and I think he's going to appreciate getting back on a fast surface.
Absolutely. That's race 3. Dan, 2735. I'm 2537. We're thinking Johnny French. I do think Johnny can do it from just off the pace if needed at 5.5. I think it could work. So let's turn to race 4. And remember, we're going to give you this field right now. It's a field of 7. $30,000 is your purse. Maiden claim at 25 down to 20. Fillies and mares going 5.5. Late value pick 5 starts right here. The 12% late value pick 5. Jump in, 50-cent minimum play. We do have a Mackenzie Pfeiffer ticket. Dan, take it away.
Mackenzie's going to spread in the first leg, 2, 4, 5, and 6. Race number 5 is the single. Always good to have a single, and Hagrid's Flame is going to take some money for Jamie Ness, who happened to win 3 races yesterday with Jamie Rodriguez aboard all of them. J-Rod will be aboard the New York Invader Hagrid's Flame. Backed with 4 horses in race number 6, the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 7. Some promising first-time starters in that race to go along with the experienced likely favorite Alias, then the 2 and the 6th and the 7th, and the 2, 4, 7 in the 8th. Total cost $48 for Mackenzie's late value pick 5.
Some attention on Girl Gone Wild in race number 8. We'll get to that in a little bit. But looking at race 4, I believe you and the Rod Dog, our great announcer Dave Rodman, are looking at Wampy, number 3.
I think Wampy's first 2 dirt races are a little bit better than they look on paper, especially her career debut. She was dueling with several other horses while in between horses, put away a couple of them, then had to deal with the even money winner and ended up tiring. The second race ended up against a couple of next out winners in a tough spot. Then they tried turf. And last time out, this horse was just really conservatively ridden near the back, eased out in the stretch. I like the way she finished up with a decent enough gallop out. I think at 5.5, if there's some pace for Wampy, she can come with a bit of a kick here. And we do have a trainer stat from Michael Gorham, who does very well with 2 to 4 month layoffs. 21% positive return on investment. Wampy's gotten a little bit of a break, and maybe we'll see a kick.
Yeah, and I like that. And it's another situation in which we talk about, me as a chart caller, you've got to go back. We're trying to relay some information to you. Even though the horse was beaten 16 lengths of past tiring rivals. Wake-up call. Go back and watch the video. Dan, I don't know if anybody watches more video than you, and you're getting that, opinion, a strong opinion. This horse had late life, was moving in the right direction. Caught off guard a little bit early, a little too much to make up against that flow, and couldn't do it. Today's a different day.
And it's a great resource to go to the Laurel Park Maryland Jockey Club YouTube page.
Oh,
We've
absolutely.
got the head-on as well as the pan shot in one video. You can watch each and every race as many times as you want. Slow it down, speed it up. It's a really great resource.
Yeah, we're going to waive the apprentice allowance, I believe, right, on Alicio Ruiz on the 2. Lady Sriracha, make the corrected weight, 126 pounds. I hope I got that right, Lace. But I'm going to use this horse on top. She's my top selection for Michael Moore, trying to pick things up a little bit on the dirt with the dirt runners in Maryland. Sloppy sealed surface last time at Parks. Dan, I think the blinker's going back on. She's showing a little bit more positional speed. And at 5.5, with Worries Unfounded possibly going to her inside and Wampy with that chase, I think she can slide into an okay spot.
Not only does she have tactical speed, I think she can finish a little better than we've seen in her last couple of races. We have a video spotlight for the last time Lady Sriracha ran in Maryland. That was 3 starts back, going 7/8 of a mile. And Lady Sriracha just was outrun a little bit in the early portion of the race. She has shown better speed in the past. Now we're going to see her start to get into the flow a little bit. And Lady Sriracha is going to kick. She's forced extremely wide turning into the stretch. She does have a lot of work to do. I like the way that she keeps on grinding away to run third. It was an honest performance. Her last 2 starts at Parks were good. She just seems like a really good fit at this class level.
Not a bother. It's come back to run well, too, right? If
That's
I'm not
right.
mistaken.
Sure.
So out of that race. So one to pay attention to in race 4 is Lady Sriracha. Worries Unfounded. Off a little break, hasn't been seen since the middle of November for Mike Giralles, Mark Lapidus, a owner-trainer combo, have done quite well over the years here in the Mid-Atlantic region. Do you think, from the inside, it's a gotta-go situation?
Oh, I think this horse has to go, and I think the 4 Drifting also has shown some good early speed, chasing a pretty fast one in Big Earn last time out. Maybe Drifting can get to the front, but I do think Worries Unfounded has to go. Got hooked up in a speed duel last time out with a 6-1 shot that ended up faltering to finish last. Worries Unfounded at least held on to finish third, so it's a situation. She won the duel, she lost the war. The horse she dueled with actually then went down to Gulfstream in the Tapeta and ran second with a 58 buyer. So Worries Unfounded perhaps perhaps a little bit better than she looks on paper. And she's run well on dirt, albeit against maybe weaker at Colonial in her second lifetime start.
Another off the freshening here in race 4, I think, is a player. 7-2 on the morning line, the 5. Lady Limoncello for Lacey Gaudette. Turf to dirt angle. J-Rod gets the mount.
It's a big call. I think that J-Rod takes the mount. This horse only raced once on dirt and just happened to catch a runaway winner that was in excellent form. A horse that came back in a very next start, won a first-level allowance with a 61 buyer. Lady Limoncello ran on turf in the last 2 races. The concern is obviously the layoff. This horse was entered in July, was scratched, and we haven't seen her since. But I do trust Lacey off layoffs, and I think Lady Limoncello has shown at least the versatility, speed on turf, off the pace on dirt, that J-Rod will figure out a trip.
Yeah, I think she can make a run from off of it. You got Big Earn in here that's going to be going towards the front. I think Granuel, the outside, is another one that's going to be sending and showing speed. Settle, relax, make a run here with the 5. Lady Limoncello off the break. That's the first 4. We're going to come back. We're going to, after this commercial break, take a look at the late pick 4 on this Sunday card at Laurel Park.
Baltimore! To the city of Baltimore, to all the fans watching around the world, riders up!
They're off in the Preakness.
All eyes of the world will be on Baltimore.
They're head and head. Seabiscuit leads by a length. Seabiscuit is the winner.
And it was a powerhouse race again by the big, strong Secretariat.
Sunday Silence takes the lead at the quarter pole.
American Barrow, phenomenal in the Preakness. And the filly did it! Rachel Alexandra! Smarty Jones, he wins the Preakness by a dozen lengths.
She's the brave, wins the Preakness.
All right, and we are back here today at the races. Sunday, February the 2nd, Laurel Park. I'm Keith Fustel. This is Dan Ellman, Director of Communications. Race 5 is upon us. Field of 8 in race number 5, going 1 mile, 40,000 is your claiming price. It's a non-winners of 3 in life. 1 mile, good field here. I like this field. Kicks off the late pick 4. Once again, an 8-race card today. Late pick 4 starts here in race number 5. Dan, we both agree. The 3, Capcom, and this sometimes you also have to pay attention. You got to pay attention. Scratch from a little tougher spot, gets into the condition here today. I think this is a major player. Little value here, 5-1.
Yeah, Capcom I thought might have been compromised by the way the race was run last time out. We do have a video spotlight of that first level allowance, and Sagrado Ray just speed popped this field and just kind of shocked everybody the way Sagrado Ray went right to the front and blitzed along. Capcom right here has to get into this race at the 3/8 pole with a 4-wide move and is losing just a lot of ground at this juncture. The good news for Capcom is this is a prolonged bid. He is losing ground. He's actually going to be 5 wide at the quarter pole turning into the stretch, and he's going to keep chugging on. Sagrado Ray is in very good form right now. He came back to finish 3rd with a 75 buyer speed figure. I like that Capcom, after losing that ground, is still chugging along to finish 3rd. It was a good effort. Maybe he can save a little bit more ground here, breaking from post 3.
I don't think anybody's going to get away that far today in race number 5. I do think he gets a little bit closer by mid-turn at this 1-turn mile. You're talking about key horses. War Master came back to run well, I believe 2nd the other day. The numbers hold. He's knocking on the door. He's 0 for 6 at the 1-turn mile, but 3 seconds and a third. I think he gets good po, brings a finish here today for Troy Singh and jockey Johan Rosado. Hagrid's Flame, you're talking about making some money real quick, doing the right thing. How about this one? Claim off the digital sale for Ness and Company.
Take this horse for $25,000. They run him in New York in a $76,000 purse, and let's see what Hagrid's Flame was able to do against those New York breds. We're going to watch the start here because Hagrid's Flame, you know, is a kind of horse that breaks okay in his races. He didn't break sharp in this start. He kind of I like the lost rear footing start comment in the short comments. And Hagrid's Flame's got some work to do. Now, I thought the pace in this mile and an eighth race was good for Hagrid's Flame, but he has some work to do here inside the 5/16 pole. And once Hagrid's Flame gets to the outside, he just rolls by these horses and earns a career best 83 Beyer speed figure. He seems to fit the Nest program very well. I was a little surprised to see Hagrid's Flame in this spot being offered for 40 because they still have one rich New York bred allowance condition available, but I'm not going to quest Jamie. They've already made out with this horse. If someone wants 40, he could win and get the 40. That's a pretty nice return on investment.
Really like that sustained run because he was under pressure into the far turn, was able to worked outward, and then just kept grinding and grinding to win. Going away, Concrete Phase, you're going to throw the filly in here against the boys.
Kind of an interesting spot, don't you think, for Concrete Phase, who I thought ran quite well against the girls last time out. You remember that race was won by Balentin, who was able to save ground off of a very slow pace and sprint on home. Conversely, Concrete Phase had to take the long way around, and it was the long stretch of the mile run. And I think the ground loss contributed to Concrete Phase getting beat a nose that day. This is a little bit of a step up in class, obviously, against the boys, and some pretty good ones. But I think she's in sneaky good form, and that last figure's okay.
The figure is in range. Is it good enough? I don't know. And again, maybe I'd like her a little bit better against the girls right back off of that number. But respect her recent improvement. I mean, she's held pretty good form of late, so I do think she can ramp it up from the back of the pack. Whiskey in the Jar as a user. Another one could be pace dependent here in race 5. But has faced the right kind coming out of that stakes race at the Jennings. No real shot there. Couldn't get it going at a big number. A little more realistic here today in race 5.
I have a lot of respect for Whiskey in the Jarro, and I think just getting Lasix back on is going to help. It's interesting, Weston Hamilton had his choice, Whiskey in the Jarro, Wine Collector. He jumps to Wine Collector, and Wine Collector could be a key horse in here because he has back class, and most importantly, he has speed, and I don't think there is an abundance of speed in this race. Perhaps Hamilton and Wine Collector, can get a little bit brave up front.
You talk about the lack of speed. I'm going to toss in a price at a 15-1 morning line. We saw Jadiel Zambrana do this with a Hugh McMahon horse the other day. Take the initiative and go. Formal Affair has shown speed in the past. You've got to go back to Pimlico on that muddy sealed surface back in May. But mix it up on the front end with some pretty good horses. Hampered by really tough posts. 9 posts the last couple times going a mile and a 16th. Now, it's not the easiest to break from the rail at the one-turn mile at Laurel, but looking at this group, he's got to go if he's going to have any chance.
But even though he's taking a little bit of a step up, that field was good for the 12-5 last time out. The winner of that race came right back, placed with a 70 Beyer speed figure, a 72 Beyer speed figure. So, I think that's a good catch. I do think Formal Affair is going to be aggressively ridden, and maybe they take advantage of the weight off.
Yeah, I'm not going to say he's going to hold on, but I do think he's going to be a player at least to the top of the stretch. So 3-6-5-8 in race 5 for Dan. I go 3-6-1-7. Let's key around Capcom. See if that one can get it done here today. Let's turn to race 6. Race 6, late pick 3 action. There's your field. Jackpot Super High 5 as well. Everybody stays. It's a field of 9. All eyes on the 1. It looks like 7-5 on the morning line. Brittany Russell. Video spotlight first for the 1 Alias. Tough beginning back in that last race in mid-December.
Watch this horse get bumped both sides at the start. That's a very stressful beginning for a 2-year-old second-time starter. Hammered both sides, and not only hammered both sides, but look how he recovers. Alias is making the lead turning into the stretch. Now, didn't have to go very fast to make the lead. Looks like he's in control, but this is a nice horse that runs him down. Pay Billy's 15-1 in this race. Don't be fooled by that price, because Pay Billy came right back in a first-level allowance race and won with an 81 Beyer speed figure. This is a good effort for Alias, who in his career debut, I think, was out for the experience in New York. Seemed a little bit green, was near the back of the pack. They let him finish up on his own. Like that he showed a lot of speed second time out. Look at Brittany. 6 for the last 18 with non-debut runners. First-time Lasix, the experienced horses, and a positive ROI. Have to think this horse is going to be up close to the pace from the rail.
Absolutely. Can sit if needed, as evidence in that debut run. A little experience, a little go-round, was set down late after that early trouble to finish up behind a horse that came back to run second with a good number behind Studley Do Right in his stakes up there in New York. So, Alias, an awfully short number. So if we're looking for value, Dan, I look at the 7 Change My World. This is a horse I like last time, trained by Mary Epler. Yeah, out of the Pay Billy alias race, called 4 wide, just never kind of got into the race early. Seeing the way the track played yesterday, I want this horse up to the front, but he did show a turn of foot multiple times in debut November the 16th. Now we've got blinkers, we've got Lasix. Mary goes hunting. J-Rod, that's always a tell. She'll when she goes towards these top riders, pay attention. I think this horse has a lot of talent out of a winning quality family.
To me, this is the most interesting horse in the race that you smoked out, because you're absolutely right. This horse showed gears in his debut. He's a pretty big horse, so you would think maybe his debut he would need a learning experience. He bobbles leaving the start. He's in a bit tight on the far turn. I have him bumped hard in between rivals while 3 wide and upper stretch, and he only gets beat 3 lengths. Now Lasix, now blinkers, now J-Rod. He could be sitting in a prime spot and tracking from the outside.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier in the show, Dan, a couple firsters in here to maybe give some look to. They could be any kind. You like the two here. Annihilate them for Jerry Robb.
Nice pedigrees by Good Magic. He sold for $20,000 as a short yearling, then sold up for $60,000 as a yearling. The second dam was a graded stakes-winning dirt sprinter named Sweet Aspen. So this horse is bred for speed both times. We know Jerry Robb can pop with a first-time starter.
And the 6, Chase the Dream, 20-1 on the morning line for Mario Saray.
An $8,000 yearling that sold up for $35,000. Now this horse has a turfy pedigree, a half to a stakes place turf sprinter in Ireland. The dam's a half to an Epsom Derby winner. So maybe we chase the dream down the road when this horse switches to turf for Mario Saray. But there are some interesting workouts on display. I'd like to see this horse maybe come with a late run, perhaps get a piece run 3rd or 4th, nice gallop out, and we wait for grass season.
I think Gucci Vision of 5, I don't have into the mix. Another one you talk about the first is By Violence, one that can get you a win early type. Bottom side mare, 3 for 11 all turf. Lone Sib, though, 2 for 2 on the turf, but close 4th in debut at Keeneland, I believe, down in Kentucky, one of those 2-year-old races. So another one to maybe pay attention to for Jockey Lawrence.
This horse attracted a lot of attention, sold for $250,000 as a weanling, then down for $90,000 as a yearling. I'm not sure what to make of that, but you're right. This dam was a stakes place turf rider that did win the debut. Violence wins early. Watch the board.
Yeah, I'm going to toss in Summer in the Country. Another here, Hugh McMahon paying attention to everything he runs. This horse has a turn of foot. Will go out early and show some serious speed here. 1, 2, 6, 7. I'm 7, 1, 3, 8 in the 6. We got 2 to go here. Late daily double action in race number 7. Let's go to the 7. 6 furlongs, 3-year-old fillies. This is the claiming category. $40,000 is your claiming price. Yeah, field of 7 here. 9 to 5 morning line favorite. Field of Roses, eccentric, 2-1 on the line. Field of Roses, video spotlight horse, and your top selection, Dan Illman.
We're going to learn a lot about Field of Roses in this race, because this is a maiden special at Charlestown going 4.5 furlongs. Was involved with a couple of other horses. Takes over the lead with ease here inside the quarter pole and at the 3/16 and goes about his business. You'll see that the jock's asking for a little bit of run till about the 16th pole and then gears down Field of Roses. The 3rd place finisher from this race did come back to win by 5 yesterday at Charlestown. So that's a good sign, but Field of Roses is just cruising under the wire. It's a completely different story today, going 4.5 to 6, moving from Charlestown to Laurel, but it is Anthony Farrier who has been on a roll, 16 for 48, 246 ROI. It's odd that when Farrier reaches out to J-Rod, they don't win very often.
That is.
I'm just going to trust the overall record for both of them.
That is very, very interesting. And looking a little bit deeper within that family, some of the Sibs, they've gone on and handled a little bit more ground. So that gives me a little hope for the 6 of Field of Roses. And didn't win it right up on the front end at Charlestown. Made that bid 3 deep to win going away, kind of wrapped up in the end. And she, the body type, looked good enough here to stretch out and get the 3/4 of a mile. 7, Bougie Bubbles. I come back to this one. Lasix going on, route to sprint. Blinkers won on 2 races back. I thought she needed it. I think this move right back to 6, she can go into the flow and she can stay around.
And I'm not saying it was the distance last time. I'm saying it was likely the company she was in against. A couple of next out winners. One of them, Onyx 10, came right back to win the extra heat with a 71 buyer speed figure for Gary Capuano. All of her sprint races are good. She's drawn ideally. She does not need the lead to win. A good trip is coming.
What about Eccentric? Haven't been seen off since December 1st, winning that claiming. A 2-time winner in here. She's the only 2-time winner, right? In this
She is the only 2-time winner.
Beating in my memories, who since has come back to run. Super impressive for Farrier. We're going to see her, I believe, next Friday. But Eccentric freshened up, the Lasix going on. I think, is a player here for Jerry Robb.
Maybe she moved just a smidge too early last time out.
Okay.
She bid to the front at the 3/8 pole, opened up a clear lead, and she still held on. I just think that she's better than it looks. It looks like, oh, she's getting exhausted at the end of that race. She exerted a lot of energy the middle part. One of the also-rans came back to place for 20 with a 48 buyer. Another horse with good tactical speed. Can do for Kieran McGee. We've got a trainer stat here for Kieran. Last out winners on the dirt, 4 for the last 17, 225 ROI. This horse showed big speed, 22 and change speed in the second lifetime start. Good performance. Runner-up came back to win with a 62 buyer.
Yeah, looking, was able to slow it down. That second quarter held sway. Can she clear again and maybe handle some pressure? Because I think she's going to get it around the turn. Ezra, the one, I'm going to toss into the mix. Trouble 2 races back. I think he can make a run from the back of the pack for trainer Kenny Cox and jockey Kevin Gomez. 6-2-4-7 in race 7 for Dan. I go 7-6-2-1 Bougie Bubbles. Let's wrap it up here. Race 8. We're going to finish this 8-race card at Laurel Park with maidens. 12-5 is your claiming price. 4, 5, and 6-year-olds. The fillies and mares. No scratches. We like that. My Sassy Valentine, slight favorite at 2-1. The 7 Girl Gone Wild. First off, the claim for Kieran McGee.
I liked Girl Gone Wild debut. I know that she finished behind a couple of horses in this race, but Kieran doesn't win a lot first time out. He likes to give them a race or two before they find their best stride. Actually, off the Robbie Bales claim.
Right.
Kieran's second time out does very well. Girl Gone Wild just sort of inside advance, split rivals, finished up well, good gallop out. To me, it was a promising enough debut where maybe if Robbie Bales didn't have Girl Gone Wild completely fit, I think she's going to be plenty fit first time for Kieran.
Yeah, and talking about the stat, did we have a stat
Yes,
for that
we do.
one? Yeah, if we can show that, that's great. Thank you. Kieran McGee, first after the claim. 3 for the last 10, 30% with an RR of 258. One thing I've noticed in the past, he hadn't done the greatest of work with the maidens off the claim, the maiden claimers. Recently, much better. It's an improved stat, much improved stat for trainer Kieran McGee, looking for Girl Gone Wild to make that run from off the pace. I think the flow in this race is going to go through My Sassy Valentine. I think Lopez gets aggressive here for Charles
Alba.
Rock. Oh, it's a Torrey Alba, and goes and sends. Good catch. Thank you.
No, My Sassy Valentine just fits beautifully at this level. Speed does so well in these maiden claiming races. This horse has hit the board in her last 3 starts on dirt. It was interesting that on the original overnight, Weston Hamilton had his choice, My Sassy Valentine and the newly claimed Third Tuesday, and goes for the bigger price horse. But you're getting Torrey Alba, you're getting speed, and you're getting a consistent horse that shows up every single time.
What do you think about this firster? I know you don't have this one into the mix, though. It's a 4-year-old, a little late to the race. It's Chestnut Filly for Damon Dilla, Davico, Louis Carrico. I think you have to pay a little attention. It's kind of pedestrian-like works, but the Uncle Lino always kind of reaches out and grabs me a little bit, a high percentage first outsider.
Uncle Lino wins high percentage of first-time starters. Just Damon's had no luck with these firsters drawing the rail again with Maybe May, which means that Maybe May's got to break, and if Maybe May doesn't break, like a lot of these inexperienced horses do going first, breaking from the rail, then you get shuffled back. So we're going to need to see some speed, I think, from Maybe May, but she's got a nice foundation.
I've seen patience pay off for Damon with some of these firsters on the go back. Maybe this one can pick it up. Maybe May. From the inside with Jadiel Zambrana. Anybody else you want to talk about?
Well, Sippin' Time, I mean, she's been a career maiden. She's lost 18 times already, but she finished ahead of 3 of these horses last time out, including My Sassy Valentine, including Girl Gone Wild. And if there is some pace, Sippin' Time's going to come with a kick.
Had a little trouble last time as well. Was able to kind of navigate through that. Works through some traffic to get up for the place. An okay number at 6-1. Wrapping things up, Dan, 7-4-2-6 in race 8. I go 4-7-1-2. My Sassy Valentine trying to get out to the front and keep on going. Best play time, best value play, best bet time. I go a little bit of value here for the Bougie Bubbles. Race 7, number 7, Hugh McMahon, shortening up a mile and 16th, back to the sprint. Third time blinkers, get to the front, battle. I think she can take the pressure. She's got fight she stays around here at the 3/4.
Dropping class works for Bougie Nobles. I'm hoping for a little bit of a barbecue to set things up for Wampy in race number 4, the number 3. She needs a little bit of pace up, but there's speed in here, and I think Wampy's just a little bit better than Wampy looks on paper. I'm expecting Wampy to come with a kick, hopefully close to that 6-1.
I like that. I like that 6-1. Dan, thanks again as always. 25 minutes until post time. That'll wrap things up for today at the races on this Sunday card. Best of luck, everybody. Up to Dave Robin for some scratches and changes.
Good luck.